The evidence shows, and we will prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that Hearn willfully destroyed property at the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. We can state and prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he caused damage, and that damage is over $1,000.
And you're 100% sure that what happened with the liner was vandalism. You can prove it.
Well, yeah, absolutely can. And as we drain it, and we've got all the photographs we can see. I mean, there's no possible way.
There are photographs of a person or people cutting a 300 or 350 foot gash in the bottom of the reflecting pool?
Dana, I'm not sure why you and others in the media think that you want to keep trying to question.
They cut it up with a buck's knife and tried to destroy it. These people are sick. They ripped a scar 350 feet long through the side of the reflecting pool.
Or maybe not. In a major reversal, the Department of Justice announced it is dropping felony charges against a former Olympian after acknowledging that the damage to the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool was actually caused by flawed installation rather than any sort of vandalism. The motion to dismiss was filed by D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. This was late Friday in a Clear news dump after prosecutors concluded the damage attributed to former Olympian David Hearn stemmed from defects in the installation of the reflecting pool's liner. The filing stated that information obtained after the indictment showed the damage was caused by botched work performed by the project's contractor hired by the Trump administration and not by criminal conduct. Now, the Trump administration has defended the $16 million no-bid contract by saying the work needed to get done by July 4th for the nation's 250th anniversary. Hearn had pleaded not guilty to a felony charge of destruction of property after authorities alleged he damaged the iconic reflecting pool during a June visit to the National Mall. All right, well, it's an embarrassing moment for all, but it's ended with Friday when Jeanine Pirro said that charges were being dropped. No, it didn't, because in response, President Trump, he would not take no for an answer. He lashed out on social media, stating he disagreed, quote, 100% with Jeanine Pirro on the reflecting pool. I don't know what she was thinking. To me, it was a pure case of vandalism. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum echoed the president's message in a social media post of his own, writing, "The evidence is clear. Vandals have repeatedly caused damage to the reflecting pool." We should note that neither Burgum nor Trump provided evidence for their claims. Joining us now, a member of David Hearn's defense team, Norm Eisen. He's co-founder of Democracy Defenders Action, a bipartisan advocacy and legal organization to combat authoritarian threats. Also with us, former U.S. Senator, MS Now political analyst Claire McCaskill, opinion writer at the New York Times, Mara Gay, and MS Now contributor Pablo Torre back with us as well. My thanks to all of you. So, Norm, before we get to the president's social media postings, just take us through what U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro actually put out on Friday, having to admit that there was no evidence that your client or anybody else vandalized the reflecting pool.
Well, Jonathan, we've said from the get-go, including here on the show, Davy Hearn was innocent. The reflecting pool was no different after he touched it than before he touched it. And the notion that Jeanine Pirro and the Department of Justice did not know this is absurd. On July 10th, the day after the arraignment, we filed a motion with the court, the first of 5 filings. In that one, we pointed out that using the government's own evidence and other photographs, the section of the reflecting pool that they claimed Davy had damaged was exactly the same in photographs before and after he touched it. While we're gratified that the Justice Department has made this filing, agreeing with us that a botched installation was to blame, and also agreeing that the damage was not over $1,000, and basically there's no proof beyond a reasonable doubt. What have we come to as a country where under Todd Blanche, Jeanine Pirro, and Donald Trump, innocent people like Davy Hearn can be targeted? Of course, it's not just him. We've seen a stream of others. We've worked on those cases at Democracy Defenders. Any American and every American should be concerned when you have an executive branch that behaves this way.
And Norm, as you all know, your client has given interviews in which he said this has taken a real toll on him, even though charges now dropped. But let me ask you this, with the president seemingly refusing to let this go, clearly embarrassed by what happened, do you have any concern that some way, somehow, the legal process could restart?
We're ready, come what may. We are considering all options to deal with this abuse and miscarriage of justice. And that's why we exist at Democracy Defenders. We've dealt with so many of these, whether it's birthright citizenship or the wrongful attack on Dr. Lisa Cook. We won both those in the Supreme Court with great teams. The Reflecting Pool, the Kennedy Center, the Slush Fund. We represent those 35 judges who knocked it down in federal court in Florida. The injustice of this administration knows no bounds. But the good news is both us at Democracy Defenders and the democracy movement have pushed back large.
All right, Claire McCaskill, please take the next question. But let me just tee you up by saying this president, for a decade now, we have seen him on the national political stage try to assert his own reality. And at times, effectively so, at least with his base. But this one here, I mean, it would be laughable if it weren't, frankly, so serious.
Yeah, it's really serious. And I think it's really important. And Norm, I want to ask you about this, that we kind of put Donald Trump and his lies aside, and we put Doug Burgum, that joke, aside, and we really just focus in on Jean Pirro and what happened here. I don't think the American public understands how way off her actions in this case are in our criminal justice system. First of all, you know, any prosecutor who looks at the evidence before they file a case has to be confident the evidence is there before they ruin someone's lives with charging them. I mean, that is a heavy responsibility on a prosecutor. You do not file paperwork accusing someone of a felony in the federal system without having evidence that a jury will accept. Talk a little bit about what she has done and what would typically happen to a U.S. attorney who has done this in our criminal justice system. What would typically be the reaction of that system to her?
The conduct here of U.S. Attorney Pirro and the others involved in this in her office and in the Department of Justice has been reprehensible. All remedies are on the table for that, Claire. And I think it's important that we know that she's done this in a Department of Justice headed by Deputy Attorney General, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, where others have been targeted in the same way, including my client, Dr. Lisa Cook. I filed briefs in the Tish James and Jim Comey case. I was part of the team that represented union leader David Huerta out in L.A. All unjust prosecutions in many instances where Blanche's Department of Justice again and again has attacked. And then finally, I have to point a finger. His nomination is before the United States Congress. When I was in the White House and you were a senator, you and your colleagues would sometimes call and say, hey, we've got to put our foot down. That's not happening in this Congress. So plenty of blame to go around.
Co-founder of Democracy Defenders Action, Norm Eisen. Norm, thank you very much. And Mara, let's take a step back and look big picture here. I mean, yes, the Reflecting Pool story will become a national joke, frankly, a national embarrassment. But this is more than just a no-bid contract. This is the President of the United States and his Justice Department, and Todd Blanche is soon to be confirmed to be permanent Attorney General, sort of carrying out the president's whims and wishes. No barrier at all. The traditional barrier between the White House and the DOJ just doesn't exist.
Well, first of all, that's right. So the Trump administration has totally weaponized the Justice Department, has inverted the mission. Another example of that would be using the Justice Department, which was actually founded to protect, years ago, enslaved people who had been freed, now using it to stop all civil rights cases unless they involve protecting white people against discrimination. Another example. So there's the weaponization. But I think if you also think about the politics of this, it's interesting. because corruption can be hard, even lies can be hard to kind of drive home the meaning of it, the consequences to just ordinary voters. But this is a case where that's not true, because everybody in America can see that it is President Trump's fault that he has destroyed the reflecting pool. Just like they saw the damage to the White House. And so that's the kind of corruption that you can touch, taste, feel. That, in addition to going after a private citizen in Davy Hearn, that kind of feels different than going after Democrats like Letitia James, or even Lisa Cook, a civil servant. I think this is more similar to his targeting of the campaign officials in Georgia, the 2 black women. I mean, Americans don't like bullies and they don't like liars. And this is a case where you can just see very clearly that the president is lying. You have evidence that you can kind of live in. And now people who are visitors to Washington, D.C. are, talking about how they're essentially on a tour of Donald Trump's damage to the nation's capital. It's embarrassing. And I don't think that he realizes the political damage that this does. Anybody who's not in the MAGA cult is going to realize, I can't take this seriously. It's dark, but it's going to be hard for him to get out of this one.